What's up? It's January 3rd. Happy New Year to all of you. And you're listening to episode 82 of the Chasing Points podcast, your weekly honest dive into the world of sports. What's up? My name's Sam Favada.
And I'm Brandon Hazelwood.
Hey, Brandon Hazelwood. How are you, bud?
I'm doing well, Sam. As well as I can be.
Yeah, man. Happy.
How about yourself?
Hey, can't complain. Everything kind of seems a little trivial now as we speak to you today. It's when you're listening to this, it's actually going to be January 4th. But
yes,
recording today, Tuesday night on the 3rd here. Hope your holidays were all great. And certainly a hard day in the sports world, and certainly in the NFL following the suspension or postponement, I'm not sure what the technical term would be, of last night's Monday Night Football game in Cincinnati against the Bills and the Bengals, where a couple minutes into the game, safety
Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin made what seemed like a routine tackle on T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Bengals, and just got up and then fell quickly to the ground, and paramedics and medical staff quickly rushed out to him, and he what later found out suffered a cardiac arrest on the field, and was actually got his heart back beating on the field by paramedics, and was later rushed away to UC Medical Center in Cincinnati, where he's as of this recording still in critical condition. So as I mentioned in the top, everything in the sports world kind of seems a little trivial today, but we'll do our best to certainly talk about what we saw, what happened last night, and try to take a look at the week ahead of week 18 in the NFL, and some action across the NBA and whatnot, and try to get back to normal on our routine with the Chasing Points podcast. So I guess, Hayes, I'll just start with this. It's been almost 24 hours, 20 hours or so since we were both watching that Monday Night Football game. Your thoughts on last night?
Well, I asked you this first. Were you watching it live when it happened, or you just saw the videos after?
It's really interesting. So I put my daughter to sleep, put my son to sleep, and went downstairs. I actually made a drink, and I went to sit down and turned the game on, and it was a commercial break. And then I was flooded with text messages from you, from my friends about what just happened, and I had no idea. I turned on came back from commercial break, and that's where they didn't even replay the hit at that point, because these broadcasts do such a great job of trying to keep that space and keep that privacy, and just the sensitivity of awful events like this. And someone did send it to me, because I just wanted to see what happened. I kind of wish I didn't see it, but for this podcast and for just my general curiosity, wanted to check it out. So yeah, I did not see it live, but I coincidentally tuned in directly after it.
So this is one of the only Monday night games I was really truly looking forward to, because it could have been the game of the year, or one of the games of the year. So as a fan, obviously you're going into this not thinking what transpired would transpire. So just watching it, I just remember, and this may sound insensitive, but I just remember I was sitting on my couch also looking and studying, and I had saw it, and my jaw just dropped, and I was just staring at the screen, because at first they did show the replay a few times because they were trying to see it, and at first, I mean, the cameramen are doing what they're supposed to do. I have a new found respect for cameramen, which I'll tell you about shortly after. Just remind me once we get past this part. But they were doing their job and showing, and they had to show the replays because you're not thinking it was to the level of severity that it actually
No,
was.
absolutely not. That's the
So
scary thing about it.
yeah, you see guys. I mean, we saw two at the beginning of the season, concussed twice. But in this case, just watching this young man, Damar Hamlin, get up and have all the life in the world after popping back up, and then just going lifeless and falling straight back, and just seeing how his hands kind of just like folded on his body, was super super scary. Regardless if it, I mean, anytime you see any injury like that and a guy is concussed and loses it, it just does not feel right, to see this. So my lady, her friends, some of her friends in their group chat are Bills fans, and their chat was blowing up, and she was like, "Why the Bills game must be going on?" She's texting me, and I was like, "Yeah." It was like, and I had seen the video, or I showed her the video, so she knew what was going on, because obviously I knew I was going to talk about it on here, and I also had the video from sending to you, so you could see what was going on. Um, so she sent back, as her friend's friend is a doctor, and said that it's the diagnosis that they assumed at that point in time. Obviously, this is not seeing the patient in person. Was Prometeo cordis. And I don't know if I said that properly. I'm not a doctor or in med school, so I have no idea if I said that properly, but it's a phenom in which a sudden blunt impact to the chest causes sudden death in the absence of cardiac damage. So he did not die, but that cardiac arrest is from that impact, and that's the portion of it that I was informed about, from that blunt impact, which, as we see on a weekly basis, during the football season, you have 400, anywhere from 250-pound up to like 400 something pound men running full speed at one another, helmet into the chest, shoulder into chest. So just thinking about these modern day gladiators that go out there and put their life on the line every single day, throughout the week. And this is what happens to this young man that's a 6th-round pick, fighting to make a difference for his family and create generational wealth, and take care of his family, coming from a very a poor background in a not so friendly neighborhood. This young man has been giving back, and I love to see that what's going on right now with people across the country giving to his foundation. Last I checked, it was at $4.3 million dollars that have been added to this donation. But to see this young man lose all life in front of my eyes, when I text Harrison and Dame to get back to that, I text them and I was just like, I think I just watched somebody pass away on the field. And that was the part that I said it may sound insensitive, but legit, that was my first thought. Before they even said anything, Sam, I legit looked at this and I said, I really think that I just saw somebody pass in front of me like this. Now, he has not at this point, but I'm also thinking about things that I've seen and understand in the medical world of having loss of oxygen to your brain for too long, what it can actually do to your body. And per my understanding, what they've shared several times on the telecast is that they were administering CPR for 9 minutes. So that's 9 minutes without having oxygen go to your brain, which is oxygen sensitive. And it could cause major damage.
Yeah, there's so much going on at that moment. Who knows what, obviously they were saying, there was a good amount of time regardless. We're not, as you mentioned, we're not doctors. We weren't on the field. We're not privy to what's going on here, but it was certainly a scary sight. And, we've seen, that was a routine play in the NFL. And T. Higgins is a big boy. And you got to tackle he's like 6'3", 6'4", and it just looked like, we've seen it. We even saw it, on Sunday with Josh Sweat, your Eagles, right? Like he goes down and like it's like there's that moment and like, oh, okay, he's moving, he's okay. Like in all regards, like he can at least, he's got the ability to move his you know, legs and arms and whatnot. But I've never seen anything close to that before, and I just tremendous job by I think the ESPN telecast. I mean, they're the best of the best, but you got Joe Buck trying to figure out what's going on, but being sensitive to the issue, and then Susie Colbert and Boog and of course Schefter in the studio just trying to unfortunately do their job in this regard, and with especially with football being the last thing on anyone's mind. But yeah, just a really tough thing to see. I couldn't, just seeing. I don't think I'll ever forget like Josh Allen's face or Stephon Diggs' face, Joe Burrow coming over there, Sean McDermott's face, Zach Taylor. Just a tremendous job by these head coaches, man, to just know their teams and know what's going on, pulling these guys from the field, just being in communication with each other. And we could, just a tremendous job by those gentlemen and the team to just try to make sense of what happened and try to regroup and just say, hey, we're not playing this football game. We've seen these big hits, as I just mentioned with Josh Sweat, or you kind of regroup for a little bit. Guy tears his knee up or his shoulder or something, and gets carted off, and you wait a couple minutes, and then the play resumes. But when I've never seen anything like this.
Well, to that point, people normally put a thumbs up.
Yeah,
and they let you know that they're good.
That's what I meant. Yeah, and that's what I meant with Sweat being like, okay, he can move. It still could be bad, but he's okay, and all. He can move at least at the moment. And again, not a doctor, but
I just think at these times and watching ESPN, because they've been covering all day, and there's so many other sporting things that happen that were great that we'll talk about as well, but. ESPN pretty much covered this all day, and I watched most of it. And Dominique Foxworth, who was the former player president when he was in the league, made a very, very valid point. And also Ryan Clark as well, as you've sent me, and I was watching it live with him and Scott Van Pelt. But I'm gonna mix both of what they've said. Ryan basically reminded everybody to remember that when you're over here looking at your fantasy team and the guy's not doing that, and you're saying this guy, sucks, and you're screaming and whatever, we understand that people are fans, but these people are literally out there risking their life every second they're on the football field, and just to create potential generational wealth. And that does not go for everybody, to Dominique Foxworth's statement, that we see some of these guys that are injured and have these major injuries. Ryan Shazier, what was the young man from Rutgers? Eric. I'm trying to remember his last name. But you know who I'm talking about, Sam. I'll remember his name. But you see these major injuries, and then we don't see what happens when these guys retire and have the CTE. Damaging their life and continuing to disrupt them mentally. This is why they fight so hard to try to get health insurance, and people, when they're doing the collective bargaining, and plenty of people have said, they're greedy, they don't need this. I will always be on the side that the players need some type of insurance after, because not everybody's smart with their money. Not everybody is the top tier marketable person that's created multiple businesses or is continuously a marketable person. So there's not money just coming in left and right. These guys should have insurance. These guys should be insured. And as they put in their lives on the line, their bodies on the line every single day for our entertainment, it's entertainment. And they're doing that to create gaps or generational wealth for their family. And these guys have come from the hardest of hard place. So when people are saying that they make all this money, they didn't have that money before. They worked to get this. So I just hope these type of things put perspective on things, to make people realize that these gentlemen that are out here playing this game are humans just like you and I, and have medical conditions just like you and I. The difference is they just are superstar athletes, and that's it.
Yeah, no, great, great point there. Yeah, it was a chilling night for sure, and yeah, a big game and a big just moment. NFL being just on, Monday Night Football, and kind of just seems like the sports world stopped, and just our thoughts are with um the Hamlin family, and of course, the Bills, the Bengals, and the football fraternity, if you will, with just hoping that everything is okay, as especially with football being kind of so far from what is important right now. And it kind of just puts it into perspective that, yeah, we sit here and we criticize, Russell Wilson has as many touchdowns as he has bathrooms in his house, or Nathaniel Hackett stinks, or Derek Carr stinks, or Tua, or whatever, whatever we talk about here on a week to week basis. And it's it's sports. It's just a game at the end of it. I know that's kind of been something that we've said over the almost 2 years now that we've been doing this podcast. It's, to have that perspective. And yeah, so just I don't know where to go from this.
Well,
As far
we
as
should just keep it rolling. I mean, it's we're gonna keep it business as usual, but there's no way that we weren't going to
oh, absolutely not.
start off the show without sending prayers to the Hamlin family, Damar specifically, but everybody that is affected by this. I'm just sending nothing but love and positive energy that way. I want to see this young man continue forward with his life. I want to see his family be able to have their loved one. And I'm just going to keep praying no matter what. So I definitely will say that. But yeah, we will still be talking football. I'll bring some energy to bring us back up. I promise.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what more we could do there. I think the NFL and the teams did what they had to do last night. And to anyone that doesn't kind of see the big deal in any of this, and I've seen a lot of that on the internet, unfortunately, today. Just get lost. Yeah, just they're just logistics. It's just a game. The NFL said they will not reschedule this game or continue this game or whatever this week, and there'll be no changes as of right now to the Week 18 schedule, which kicks off on Saturday. There is no Thursday night football this week, so you will see. Again, it's just logistics. The NFL figured out how to play and not miss one game during a global pandemic. They played on Tuesdays. They played all over the place. They moved games. They played. There was a whole quarterback room that didn't play, and for the Broncos, that one game, they'll figure this out. That's just that's so far from what's important, especially in Buffalo right now. So yeah, we'll figure that out. But just a chilling night in the NFL. So yeah, moving it along here. And again, last thing I want to mention too, there's a GoFundMe, I believe it's called Chasing M's or something along those lines, that Damar Hamlin set up to be able to give back to kids in the community. Was it in the Buffalo community or in the Pittsburgh community? I know he went to
where he lives.
Pittsburgh. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
where
So
he's from. Yeah.
To give back to kids and be able to I believe what someone found was originally for like kind of like a Toys for Tots kind of thing. And it's since evolved. I saw it last night. It had like 1.5 million, and now it's, I last saw it at 4.1. You're saying 4.3. Just, and they have Bills Mafia is,
It's at
we
4.8 right now,
geez,
and
yeah,
it's the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive on
yeah. So,
GoFundMe.
um, you could find it on GoFundMe. We'll put a link somewhere there too. But yeah, just hopefully a speedy and quick just recovery for Damar Hamlin and the Buffalo Bills here, and we'll look to switch gears here. And I think what we would normally do here and what we will do is kind of just look at some of the highlights and lowlights of Week 17 in the NFL, Hayes, and we usually kick it off with winners and losers here. And we have certainly the same winners. We just spent the last, I don't know, 10-15 minutes talking about it, but uh it's the Bengals and the Bills here, and I'm gonna just assume just the actions by these head coaches and um just standing up for their teams and their players and doing the right thing and just walking off that field last night.
Yeah, that's one of it. But just in totality, both teams basically did not care what the NFL said. They said we're not going out there. I've seen rumors from reliable sources that the NFL didn't say that they were going to postpone it. It was the Bills and Bengals that openly said that we were not going back out there, and that started with their head coaches going down to see players in the tunnels, Bengals players going over to the Bills locker room, consoling each other. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow embraced each other on the field and also in the tunnel. Remember, a lot of these players went to the same colleges together, came from the same areas together, so their bonds are beyond whatever team you're repping. But the way that they have handled it and hearing, and I'll add to my winner, just the players, the community, the fraternity, of how they've all spoken out and how they've all protected one of their own. And I'll elaborate more on the protection later on when we get to our losers. But yeah, that would be why I have them as winners.
Yeah, and that whole 5 minute thing, I think ESPN's standing by what Joe Buck said on the broadcast. Quote, they've been given 5 minutes to quote unquote get ready back to playing. That's the word we're getting from the league and the word we get down on the field, but nobody's moving. I'm just taking this from the Athletic, and ESPN standing by that report of that's what they were told in the moment. And that may be just what standard protocol is. Obviously, the most important thing was to make sure that this young man was okay or going to be okay or getting him in the best possible position to make a recovery, and then figure it out. So I kind of like, yes, the game should have been called. You shouldn't have been on that field or been live on TV for that long after it happened. But this, being unprecedented and just making sure that this dude was okay is the most important thing. And that may have just been standard protocol. Like a guy gets carted off. Okay, give a couple minutes and we're gonna get back. Never before have I anyone that when Adam Schefter says this, when some of these guys that played in this league are saying, I've never seen CPR or anything like this administered on the field before. Obviously, it's an unprecedented situation. So,
I just hope this changes the conversation on getting these guys insurance and covering them in their health.
Yeah, and this
is a prime opportunity to really talk.
It's been
about
a
this.
pain point for a long time. You're absolutely right. With even the CTE stuff going back, couple agreements ago, and just the adequate, post career help for these NFL players, where like the average, life or the career span of an NFL player is what, like 3 years. So for every Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, you got a dozen, guys that'll make a practice squad, make play in a game or two, and you'll never see them again. On the football field.
Yep.
So it's certainly something that I think that you really need to both sides really need to get on board with and just iron out whenever that CBA is done. But yeah, you're absolutely right with that, and hope that from something like this we can just kind of make this game safer and for everyone playing it and admiring it and watching it and all around just these players need to be protected for sure. Yeah, so kind of switching gears off of this Monday Night Football game. Brandon, your next winner here is certainly we'll say it's the New York Giants, but our boy Dame, who I want to say like 5 months ago we were kind of laughing at when he was saying I think he said the Giants were going to win the division, but
He
the
did.
fact that they're even now headed to the playoffs as a wild card team is a miraculous feat, but what we were looking at the beginning of the season. But kudos to Joe Shane, Brian Daboll, and the Giants here. What are your thoughts on your winners, Dame and the Giants?
Dame he did definitely say that they were going to win a division, which I absolutely laughed at. But he then said they were going to make the playoffs, which I think we also laughed at. But the Giants did make it. They clinched it against the Commanders. So a division game. My buddy was actually at that game. LT walked out as well, so they brought a different type of energy. But Dame was right on line. He was on target with where the Giants were going to be. They just needed to get some real men in the room, and that's here we are. Sam,
Yo,
your winner of this week.
I'm gonna say the Cowboys. Um, Needed big big game last week, and they won, and going forward now too, and we'll get to your Eagles, but and all of a sudden now it looks like hopefully Jalen Hurts can get back on this field, but
He'll be playing.
yeah, there'll be there was conversations in Dallas that maybe week 18 we rest everybody, and now it's a situation where hey, we win this game, um and some other things break the right way, we're the number one seed, right? That's got to be a possibility. So to just kind of see this, I still don't trust this team. I don't trust this coaching. I don't the same way I don't trust the Vikings. I feel like if we were to do like a power rankings of teams that we trust in the playoffs and we weight it based on like their seeding, like the Cowboys would be right up there with, if they lost in the wild card round, I would not be surprised. But it kind of showed you in games this year, the good and the bad of who this team is, and it just big win for them. So I'll give it to the Cowboys before all the slander we give them throughout the year.
Okay. My next winner is somebody that I've gave slander to. And he still just keeps to be the phenomenal quarterback that he is. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I'm pretty sure a lot of people outside of Packer fans and Aaron Rodgers thought they were down and out, but they still have a chance of making the playoffs. And I don't think they've clinched yet. I think they have to. So here's some of the scenarios that I follow in week 17. So it was Packers win 2 remaining games, Vikings and Detroit Lions, and the Commanders lose to either the Browns in week 17 or the Cowboys in week 18. Scenario 2, the Packers win the remaining 2 games and the Giants lose to the Indianapolis Colts, which they didn't do in week 17, and the Eagles in week 18. So that's not going to happen. The Packers win the remaining 2 games. The Commanders lose out. The Seattle Seahawks lose to the New York Jets in week 17, and that didn't happen, right, Sam?
You got to bring it up. It did not.
Oh, no, I genuinely was not making fun.
Yeah, no,
I was
the
literally
Jets got
asking.
embarrassed. Yeah, Geno Smith
Jeez,
revenge
this
tour
guy always
continues.
thinks I'm trying to attack him. I
No,
literally
I
didn't
dude,
know.
this for I'm bummed about this Jets team. I didn't get to
You should
watch a
be.
lot of this game
You
for a
should
lot of
be.
different reasons, but
But we ain't talking about your goddamn Jets, Sam. So we're getting back to this. Los Angeles
I
Rams
just wanted
in
to
week
take it.
18. No, we're not gonna let you soak.
I just
In
wanted
week
to
18,
hijack your winner
Sam,
segment and talk
hush.
about
You're
my
not
own
talking
team.
about your Jets. And the New Orleans Saints lose to either the Philadelphia Eagles in week 17 or Carolina Panthers in week 18. Scenario 4. I'm not gonna keep going through all these because there's like 7 scenarios, but you get the point. They still have a chance with multiple scenarios. And that's saying a lot from what, like 5 or 6 weeks ago, Sam, when it looked like they didn't have a chance at all to get there. Aaron Rodgers was still talking about his wide receiving core. Everybody's still questioning if losing Devontae Adams was the downfall of their season, which I'm sure that's still extremely impactful. But they still have a chance to make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers doing what he does and just flings the ball into the tightest of windows possible. So shout outs to them. I will put some respect back on your name, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I have the Packers as a winner here too. Just I think the one great thing about this podcast and just who we are as friends and as sports fans is we'll own up to when we are wrong about something. And there were, like, as you mentioned, like 6 weeks ago, I think was it a loss to the Eagles where I was kind of like,
yeah, it was done. I was saying they were done
and
too.
and Rogers was, had banged up finger, and what else was wrong with him? I don't even, everything's a blur today. It's but I was saying, do you just sit Aaron Rodgers and play Jordan Love and see what you got, and to kind of take it from there? And I was wrong. Definitely wrong there, as the Packers are certainly in the hunt here. And you don't want to, Aaron Rodgers is still showing that he's a capable quarterback and a 2-time reigning MVP here. No, he's won a couple more, but all of a sudden this Packers team is, as you mentioned, just looks dangerous again. And kudos to them for not, completely falling, going down the drain here, and kind of regrouping and just playing the schedule in front of them. And even though they've lost some bad games, they've won when it's counted too. So that's what brings them to this situation. So,
well, you know who didn't win when it's counting? Your first loser, and they lost to the team that we were just talking about. So who is your first loser, Sam?
Man, I've also apologized a couple weeks ago, thinking that, saying, I was wrong about the Minnesota Vikings, but I think they're Denny Green, fittingly enough, just they are who I thought they were. And you got to win this game, and you were losing to the Colts, and we gave you all the praise in the world for having the biggest comeback ever, but you needed to win this game, and they're 12-4. And the 4 losses they've had, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're like to the most important teams.
Yeah.
They're losing these games that they can't lose. Yes, they went into Buffalo and they beat the Bills, right? But they lost to the Eagles. They've lost to the Cowboys embarrassingly. They almost lost to the Colts embarrassingly. And you have this Packers team. I'm missing somebody else. I don't quite remember, but yeah, it's a way to go. And I think teams, when we talk about teams you trust in the playoffs, I don't have any trust in this team as it's, presently constituted right now, like Kirk Cousins, and losers Vikings.
Sam's not all here, but I got
I'm
him.
not all here.
Um,
Sorry.
my loser is Gardner Minshew. And Minshew Mania. You can take that shit and throw it somewhere else because I'm done with it. I'm just done with hearing it. I've seen watching some great footwork all season in that midnight green, and then to see some of the worst footwork in that midnight green under center is Gardner Minshew. And I just want to shout out to Micah Parsons from my favorite Penn State and also the idiot Chris Sims for your stupid takes on saying that this is a plug and play offense and you can put any quarterback in there and it essentially would be still this high caliber team. That has been proven to be absolutely wrong, which realistic people knew. Chris Sims has now been crying about it and cussing out ESPN about it. But this was your terrible take. It's okay just to say that you're wrong. When people are wrong, it's okay to say you're wrong. Move on. People forget things very, very quickly. But what I won't forget quickly is how terrible Gardner Minshew has been for the past 2 weeks with the pick sixes. I've seen more picks with him out there all season than you've seen with Jalen because I think he's only thrown 4 this whole entire season. And Gardner did that in 2 games. He's not the only one on the team that has to account for some of these woes that they have here, even though the Eagles almost beat the Cowboys with just Gardner Minshew. But it's clear as day to me. This team goes nowhere without Jalen Hurts. So I'm very, very happy. I will ask you this as I want to keep transitioning to your next thing, but do you think with having Gardner play these past 2 games, it is a sure lock for Jalen Hurts to prove that how valuable he is to this team and that he should win the MVP?
I think if you break it down to the essence or the nuance of the word most valuable player, the Chiefs would be in the same situation if Chase Daniel was under center for him and not Patrick Mahomes. And Case Keenum for Josh Allen and all these other, I think Jalen is playing like he is part of that top group of quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's very important to that team. He's very important to the culture. I don't know where the numbers stand up.
Who is your MVP?
It's based off of what Gardner's done and how the play of Jalen Hurts and how even when he doesn't have it, he finds plays to win. I would love Jalen Hurts to win. I don't know if missing 2 games. I think missing 2 games as much as it would help you to say, "Hey, see this. I'm part of this, and I am the key to this engine. This vehicle. I drive this offense. I drive this team." I think as much as it helps that he wasn't there and they stunk without him, it also hurts him because he's missed 2 games of stats. I don't know. If Patrick Mahomes won, I'd be fine with it. If Jalen Hurts won, I'd be fine with it. I think, he definitely he has shown that Chris Sims should just quickly walk that back.
Yeah,
and I don't
Sims
know.
should walk a lot of things back.
Yeah, and I liked Chris Sims too, but
I don't.
But yeah, no, it's just another like just foolish kind of take,
Well, do you think this is foolish? Because your next pick is a guy that is no longer starting for the Las Vegas, Raiders. Who's your loser, Sam?
Yeah, Derek Carr, man. And then you have Jarrett Stidham of all people coming in and just having a good game and being like, man, who's this? But looks like benching Derek Carr means it's the end of the Derek Carr era in Vegas. And I guess if he gets hurt by the new league year, which usually starts at the beginning of March, if he is hurt and fails a physical, they're on the hook for like $40 million over 2 years. So, smart call in that regard. If he's not your future and there's a chance he's probably not going to be on this roster next year, see what you got instead of avoid the issue of getting Derek Carr hurt. But since Derek Carr was drafted in 2014, he was a second round pick from Fresno State. 26.1 points per game allowed by the Raiders defense, and 100, which is most in the NFL, and 157 takeaways, which is fewest in the NFL. So as much as Derek Carr has been like average or slightly above average at times, he's kind of been like the scapegoat of this failed experiment in now Las Vegas.
So let me ask you this. So if you believe that he's the scapegoat for this, which I also agree with you because of his stats and shows that, he also has not gotten the Raiders anywhere. And obviously we know who used to be the head coach and what type of show they were running over there. Do you think this is the right time for them to move on from him? They're going to be higher in the lottery. There's going to be some solid quarterbacks in there. Do you think this is the right move for them to do this right now and move on from Derek Carr?
Look, Derek Carr is regime ago, was drafted 2 regimes ago at this point, right? Before, I don't even remember who was it Jack Del Rio before Gruden? Like, I don't even remember who drafted Derek Carr, but it was, as I just mentioned, 2014. That's 8 years ago in the NFL. It's a long time. Josh McDaniels certainly didn't take him. Didn't draft him. And you plug in a guy like Jarrett Stidham who knows McDaniels' offense and looked pretty good. I'm not saying Jarrett Stidham is the answer under center for Vegas, but I think it's time to move on from Derek Carr. I think, as I just mentioned, they avoid being on the hook for $40 billion if he gets hurt.
Dennis Allen was the head coach.
Dennis Allen, okay, who's now the head coach in New Orleans. But yeah, as of right now, they have the 8th pick in the draft. If the season ended right now, they're 6-10. I don't know what the next thing to do in Vegas. I mean, there's certainly the Brady rumors. Do you get a more established guy, like a Jimmy G, to come in there and run that offense, or do you just kind of, you're in the territory to get a guy like Will Levis or CJ Stroud or maybe even Bryce Young, but that kind of looks like he's going to go 1 overall. But is it? I don't know what the next step is, but I think they're done with Derek Carr. What do you think?
I like Derek Carr. I think he's a stand-up guy, but I think that it's shown, like, even with all the stats, like, he's just not the guy that gets over the hump. And I don't think he has since he's been there. I also think this has been arguably the most talented team on paper that he's had since he's been a Raider. And it went nowhere. To your point, I also believe it's systematic with what's his name? Josh McDaniels, who I can't stand as a coach at all. And I don't I just think he should stay offensive coordinator, but I also am not a person to stunt somebody's growth. You should go from there. But this is just speaking from my perspective. He hasn't really, every time he's had an opportunity, he doesn't really show too much. But I
haven't heard one person like endorse Josh McDaniels while he's been with Vegas.
They won't.
All his former teammates, or former players, like when he was in Denver, like just continue to bash him.
Yeah. Well, that says something about him. He sounds like a Chip Kelly, Adam Gase type guy, that you're just not a likable guy. This is my system and you're going to do it. And it is what it is, which doesn't bode well in this, but whatever. But yeah, I think it's time for them to move on from Derek Carr and get a younger quarterback. And see what it's going to be. They got the prize that they needed to get. If we're talking from a business perspective, they got Davante Adams in the building for a huge contract. That's what you use your leverage in that situation, as scummy as that may sound, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and last thing, Mike Mayock and John Gruden did not help this this team at all.
Oh, so yeah, we're getting rid of the picks. Yeah, and
so many failed draft picks, and now you have Josh Jacobs on a This regime didn't pick up his 4th-year option, and I didn't criticize at the time, and I understand it now. But this team is empty. There's Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and some pieces on the defense. This team should be a lot better. uh, and hopefully there's the right people in place to do that. But yeah, I agree. I would take Derek Carr on the Jets right now, though.
I don't blame you. But speaking of a team that should be a lot better, that I thought was going to be better this year, and they definitely, well, actually, to be honest, I don't think I thought they were going to be better. I thought yeah, I did. I'm not going to lie. I did because I thought Matt Ryan would at least be able to get them into the playoffs, which Carson didn't do. So I'm clearly talking about the Colts here, the Jeff Saturdays, as they like to call them. Might as well call them the Monday Blues because that's what they always got, because they just absolutely are getting blown out every step of the way. I just can't believe they're down to Nick Foles as their quarterback. Like down to Nick Foles as their quarterback. And I said earlier that the Giants beat the Commanders. I didn't mean to say that. They beat the Colts. And seeing Nick Foles on the ground, somewhat hurt, and Thibodeau doing a snow angel right next to him, and just seeing the offense not being there. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, injury prone this whole season. It's like he almost gassed himself out the season prior to. I can't even tell you who's their top wide receiver.
Michael Pittman.
There you go. I couldn't think of that if you literally asked me at a random time in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a good year last
in
year,
the offense. Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah, there's a lot of questions that need answers in this team. Jeff Saturday during their 5-game losing streak with the Colts in the fourth quarter, they're being outscored like 84-3. And a lot of that is that Vikings game where they came back.
Yeah.
And just put like 30 unanswered points on the board, but still like 84-3. Even if you take out those 30 points in the last 5 games in the fourth quarter, you're being outscored 54-3.
Yeah.
Like wild, man. You don't win football games that way. Jeff Saturday may be a leader of men, but and he might be a really good guy and he might be a potential Hall of Fame center one day, but like I don't, I would not be surprised knowing who the owner of the Colts is if Jeff Saturday is back next year. But there's a lot needs to change in Indianapolis. This team's not good. And as for the Thibodeau thing, like I saw quickly a replay of that. He made the sack on Foles and quickly did the snow angel thing, right? Like he didn't know the dude was just like
I don't think he immediately went right into it.
Yeah, that's what
he didn't look at him and then like go and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, great year by Kayvon Thibodeau, but not what you want to see for sure. But kind of just the epitome of the Colts season, right? Is that kind of image there? I think it, you could say it's classless. I think Jeff Saturday said that, but
well, you're another team that's also kind of in the same category is your team, the Jets. You have them as one of your losers this week. Why is that, Sam?
Yeah, because they lost a game they needed to win in Seattle. It's definitely a hard place to play with a guy who was their started quarterback 10 years ago, but still like needed to win this game. Did not do anything to win this game. The offense did not exist. We as a Jets fan will finish this season under 500. And with all the momentum that this team had, even without Zach Wilson, and then Zach comes back and does just enough to win, and then he does just enough to lose all these games, and then Mike White comes in, and the schedule gets tougher, and the future of this team under center is not on this roster. They need to make some improvements, for sure. But I certainly still like what Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh have done. Although I'm curious about all the receipts that Robert Saleh was taking. I want to know what happened to those, because at best you're finishing the season with 8 wins if you win next week in Miami.
Don't worry, other teams are going to use those receipts. You know that.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate to see where we basically were at the highlight of their season, which was beating the Bills. We were at that game. To now see where the Jets are and trying to figure out who's their quarterback going forward, which I'm still sure is going to be Zach Wilson. But I just all the slander that he has at this point in time. Now having to combat, the Mike White fans. I'm sure that Joe Flacco will not be there next year. He's like what, 1 year deal, right?
yeah, they've gone year to year with him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
So
what his status is.
I'm sure they'll probably get another younger backup that they can find to be potentially serviceable if they're going to bring back both Mike White and Zach Wilson, which I'm assuming they both will be back there. Yeah, it's disappointing, especially with that defense. There's a lot of I love Sauce. I love what's happening over on that side, right? It's and there's a lot of good young players too on the offensive side with Wilson as well too. Both Wilsons, right? I mean, well, Garrett Wilson is your wide receiver, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Ohio State Rookie
Wake
of the
up,
Year, Garrett
wake up,
Wilson.
Sam. So yeah, I think they have
Rookie of the Year,
some.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, okay. We heard that. Anyway, he's got to get this in here somehow, some way. He needs one victory. So, Sam, I'm gonna let you get your
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner.
victory. Okay. Yeah, he's trying to make up and act like he just didn't want to do that.
Look, I don't care if Zach Wilson's on this team next year. He missed a lot of training camp. He missed the beginning of the season. He didn't play that great. Then those bonehead comments, he gets benched. And then Mike White gets flattened like a pancake against the Bills. And Zach Wilson comes in for 2 games needing to play well and could not even do that. Could barely break 100 yards. Like Zach Wilson, if you put his first 20-something games up against Jamarcus Russell, there are categories where Jamarcus Russell beats him out. And yes, Jamarcus Russell was a much more talented quarterback than Zach Wilson was. Jamarcus Russell just didn't want to put in the work. I'm not saying Zach Wilson doesn't want to put in the work. I just think it's become clearer and clearer that Zach Wilson looks like a dude from a mid-major school that had one really good year and one really good throw in a combine or a whatever it's called in shorts. That's what it looked like. And that's we love Joe Douglas. I think we talk about him every week, how great he is and what he's done to build this football team, but he whiffed on this pick. You can't sit in a room with Zach Wilson after what he has said all year long and say like, oh yeah, that's our leader. That's our starting quarterback. The dude, it's especially when you're interviewing Justin Fields and the rest of those quarterbacks in that class too.
I think he still has a chance. I think if he does, as I mentioned on this podcast numerous amounts of times, this offseason is going to be the most crucial offseason for him because it's going to go one or two ways. He's going to either go the Johnny Manziel, Josh Rosen route, Carson Wentz route, or it's going to go, I listened to what everybody said. I took the criticism. Now I'm going to shut everybody the hell up and I'm going to ball out. All he needs to do is come out there and just shut people up, not say anything. When he's asked questions, say the right things, keep it very minimalistic and move on. And I think he can do that. So I don't like his attitude. So I hope this is a reality check and this change because I'm all for people changing, but we can see where this will go. I'm probably one of the biggest people to see change in this situation about the whole organization, except for Ron Rivera, is the Commanders. They need all types of change. They had an opportunity to clinch and get into the playoffs by playing on Sunday against the Browns. They kind of made it a bigger deal after when they interviewed Ron Rivera. Can't speak. Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, steamboat, big boat. Just knowing that he didn't know that they had a chance of clinching. But as a coach, at times you are supposed to know that, but also they're focusing on the Browns, which, by the way, Deshaun Watson didn't look that bad. I don't know if you saw any highlights, but he didn't look that bad. But just starting Carson Wentz, like I wouldn't never even thought about starting Carson Wentz ever again. I think we've seen more than enough that we need to see from Carson Wentz. And sure enough, he gets in the game and he throws 2 picks. That's what Carson Wentz is. That's what he's fallen to. He's another one of those guys that, was hot, had a good season at which called North Dakota, and then you're out here just not doing what people expected you to do with the talented arm that you had and the mobility that you had. The Commanders, just from the organization down to the field, there's a lot of great players, but to have that talent out there and not do anything with it is a travesty. And I'm saying that as a division rival. It's just wild to see the Commanders not be anything, Sam.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. Obviously, we know everything off the field that's going on with this Washington team, but it's interesting that like Ron Rivera was like clueless to the fact that what the playoff implications of a win or loss were.
Yeah.
When it's like kind of like why, like I hope he's getting the same kind of criticism that like people do with all these like stat nerds. It's like the 4th down percentage, the chances of making this 4th down were better than a field goal or whatever it is. Like he kind of deserves that. I mean, the team laid an egg. Carson Wentz I threw for what, just 143 yards, 3 picks. And I don't, Taylor Heineke's had his moments of good and bad this season, but you're in this position now not because of what Carson Wentz did. It's because of what Taylor Heineke did under center, or at least what the team did while Taylor Heineke was under center. I don't know what they owed Carson Wentz at this point. You don't want to lose your job to injury. Of course, that's like a taboo thing in the NFL, but we covered that a little earlier in the season with Jameis, but like I don't understand the move. I know we talked about it off air when it was announced that Wentz was going to start, but yeah, I don't see why Carson Wentz deserves that opportunity, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know what they do either, but I do know what I want to do here.
What do you want to do?
I want to give a special loser to Skip Rubberface Bayless.
The loser of all losers.
I'm absolutely sick and tired of this man still having a platform and saying the things that he said about some of the greatest people ever, and one even being his co-host. If you don't know what I'm referring to, on Undisputed on Fox Sports, it's Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless. And recently, Skip, trying to defend Tom Brady, basically minimized Shannon Sharpe's career. For those that don't know, Shannon Sharpe is one of the greatest tight ends to ever play football, period. One of the greatest football players to play, period. And
Top
one
3
of the biggest,
tight end?
Top
3 tight end?
Yeah,
Tony Gonzalez, him and Gronk?
I would say so. I would say
Helen
so.
Winslow Sr., maybe? I don't know. But he's right there, man.
Antonio Gates is up there
Gates,
too. You know what I mean?
So, man, right there. Yeah. Shannon Sharpe.
So it's he's done this. He's ridden LeBron James' coattail for his basically since LeBron came into the league, and this is all he does is criticize one of the greatest basketball players ever. And if that wasn't enough, with some of the other dumb takes that he's had, we talked about at the beginning about DeMar Hamlin and some of the tweets that he put out. I don't even want to give him time for that. You can check it out if you want to or not. But some of his tweets, if you just read through them, it's not vulgar or anything like outright disgusting, but it is knowing who the individual is, if that makes sense. How Skip lays things out and says things, and in questioning essentially like if they should play almost. Um, I'm really over Skip. I would love to just cuss and cuss and cuss, but then I would just be just as bad as this individual. I just hope he gets his platform stripped from him. And I think it's super telling to me today that on the show, because I just wanted to watch briefly to see at the beginning. He didn't apologize. He had this
He didn't.
he didn't apologize, but he had
Didn't.
this crazy soliloquy at the beginning, and Shannon Sharp didn't come to the show. So I think that's telling. Both of those things are telling to me.
Uh, yeah. Apparently, the Fox execs basically told him to clarify his tweet and apologize today. I'm sure if they didn't, we wouldn't see anything like this. But
Oh,
this is
you
just,
sure as hell? I didn't even know that. He sure as hell wouldn't have said not a
yeah.
damn
I
thing.
I only saw a clip that was going around Twitter of his quote unquote apology that was an
Mm-hmm.
apology.
Yep.
And he's sitting there like wrestling about not wanting to do the show and thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And look, we spent 20 so minutes on this. We have had heavy hearts for the last day about this situation. Like, it's awful. But it's just like things that he says, just it's just like a walking contradiction. It's
He
like he's
is.
just like the
He's a
hot take
troll.
machine.
He's a
Like he
troll.
says it, he doesn't give a two shits about what he says or who he hurts. He lacks any kind of compassion towards the situation when he's forced to apologize, and then he just continues on. It's the same thing. Like, I didn't even want to talk about him today. Like, I knew we were going to, and I knew you were going to light him up, and if you didn't, I would. But like, um yeah, it just doesn't deserve. I don't watch his show. I only tuned in on those Twitter things or read some articles today, but like, man, just read the room. Like, I I get it. The like he was questioning the logistics of like how they can go on from playing this game. And I think if it was just a situation where, as we mentioned, Hamlin gets like knocked out and he comes to and he gets stretched off and they take 5-10 minutes and they continue to play the game. And, you know, unfortunately, we've seen that way too often during an NFL game. That's like one thing. But the dude stopped breathing on a football field and needed CPR. Like, read the room, bro. Like,
I don't even care if they were just knocked out or tore the ACL or
it's
anything
fair
like that.
too.
It
That's
shouldn't
fair.
shouldn't be
I'm not.
saying not a damn thing. Skip
Yeah.
Bayless is a piece of shit, and this is what people that look
Well, I'm
like
not
him
defending
act
him at
like.
all, dude.
I know
I'm not
you're not.
defending him
I
at
know
all.
you're not. I trust me. I know you're not. I'm just amped up about him, and I'm just amped. It just irritates me that so many people like him have a platform and are so insensitive to things, as you just alluded to. It just it really really kills me watching this. It's just disgusting to see over and over again his takes just to get some clout. He is a living troll, and I think his time has passed. We can do without Skip Bayless live on the air. I
Oh, that's
100% say
well,
that.
that's totally yeah. I totally agree with that. But he achieved what he wanted to achieve, whether he even realized it or not, because he's when you've been doing he's like 70 something years old. Like, when you've been doing this for so long, like it's kind of like, like a compulsive liar. They just like they can't even tell the difference between reality and like
Yep.
their lies, right? And it's just like he may not even know that he's doing it on purpose. I want to give him that benefit of the doubt, and I don't even think he deserves that. It's like, he just kind of says it. And who was the most viewed Twitter profile last night? It was probably his. And I'm sure his show did better than Stephen A's show today, but who cares? Like, again, it's not. And I commend the First Take people of the Get Up crew, and we already mentioned, everyone last night in a really tough spot there. But yeah, I'm done with Skip Bayless too, man.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Bye. Let's get into our week 18 picks,
We
Sam.
should start banning people conversations of the show. I was close to doing it with like Aaron Rodgers, but we can put Skip on there.
No, I'm definitely fine with that. That's my only time that I'll mention him, unless he says something really, really ridiculous that tops this one, which is possible.
Yeah, but pick time, week 18 last week in the NFL season. The NFL does a great job of a couple years ago making these divisional games and kind of putting a little more energy behind some of these matchups here. So we'll quickly run through it. We're pretty on board here with our picks, but we'll run through them anyway here. Chiefs at the Raiders. We're both going Chiefs here. Titans at the Jaguars. I have no reason to believe the Titans are going to do anything here. Go Jags. We both have the Jags there. Big game for the Bengals and the Ravens here. We're going Bengals here. Vikings visit Chicago. Both have the Vikings. I almost wanted to troll them and just put the Bears, but I didn't. Jets at Dolphins. So there's no you have the Dolphins, I have the Jets. There's probably no Tua this week, right? But I picked the Jets here because of course they're gonna win because this game means nothing. So that's my pick there. You have the Dolphins. Any reason why?
Just because I think the Dolphins, they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah,
Feel like they gotta win one somehow, some way. So that's the only reason.
Yeah. The Bucks have clinched the NFC South. We both have them against the Falcons there. And oh, I missed one. Hey, Patriots at the Bills. Both have the Bills there. Thanks, Brendan. Panthers at the Saints. Both have the Panthers. Texans at the Colts. It's saying something, man, when you're picking literally the worst team in the league to beat the Colts at this point. The 2-win Texans, we both have them.
Yeah.
Even though they're away in Indy. Cardinals at Niners, man. We did not speak about the Niners enough here. I know you'll get to them in a second with your power rankings. Both have the Niners there. Cowboys at the aforementioned Commanders. Both have the Cowboys there. Rams at the Seahawks. Go Seahawks. We both have the Seahawks there. Both have the Eagles as the Giants come to town. Hopefully, Jalen Hurts is back under center there. Big game in Philadelphia. The Chargers visit Mile High. We both have the Chargers there. And the flex game for Sunday Night Football is where we differ too. Lions at the Packers. And it's probably going to be cold as hell in Green Bay there. But I'm going Lions just because I just feel good about it. But I originally had the Packers here. As I mentioned at the top, both of our winners this week were the Pack. But we felt good about this Lions team all year, so I'm just going to go with it.
I'm going to go with the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is just on a mission, and he's throwing darts out here right now. Yep. And his receiving core has grown up, and you can see the talent that they have. And this is why the Packers, it's hard to argue the Packers system because it continues to work. They draft guys that aren't the top ranked guys and make them into their own guys, and they just flourish. I mean, it also helps when you have consistently over like 2 decades or a decade and a half Hall of Famers, right? Back to back. Yeah. It makes it easier at that point in time. So that's the reason why I'm going with the Pack.
I think the Packers will win, but I'm rooting for the Lions here.
I mean, I always root for the Lions, except when they go for against my team. So there's that.
Well, that's top 10 for the Lions. Yeah, top 10, man. Brandon's top 10 through week 17. Hayes, it's your last power rankings before we get to the playoffs. Who you got? Number 10.
Jags. I think Trevor Lawrence has put a small trailer out of what is to come next year. And I would be scared if I'm teams because he's just going to get better. And it's wild to see what he's done already. And he's kind of just got his feet under him. I mean, with ETN back there now evolving as well. That young punch, the former Clemson teammates you're going to see something there. And I love what Dougie P is doing down there with the team and the energy that they're bringing. So Jags at 10.
Yeah. We criticized this team with all the money they spent and the joke
and tanking
of a season.
They done.
Yeah, the joke of a season they had last year with the Meyer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, do you imagine if Doug Peterson had this team last year too? Just Trevor Lawrence is something special. And, I think this Jags team is going to be on everyone's tongue the start of next season for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. Ravens. They've been on a super roller coaster this season. I don't know if Lamar is going to play this game or not. Even with that said, and Lamar not playing, they still I think have a playoff opportunity. I think it's wild card at this point in time. But I don't have faith in this Ravens team. There's a lot that I feel they have to review in the offseason because this team, the way that they have it built right now, is not going to do much. They could if everybody stays healthy, but they also have been having injury bugs for like the past 2 to 3 years, and the Ravens have not gone anywhere. So I don't know what they need to do or invest into, but they need to look into that. And number 8, the Chargers, quietly moving up as they keep winning. But it's still such a disappointing season as to where we thought they were going to be. And I mean, like, top 2 in the league. And they're nowhere near that, but they are getting better. And I absolutely believe they are a wild card right now. Sam, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe so. Let me confirm.
So yeah, and this is all with Herbert still with his ribs hurt, which we haven't talked about since it happened, and they're out there balling. So shout out to the Chargers. At number 7, the Vikings. I almost at times say I'm going to put the Vikings like 20th, but their record is where it is. Like, it's just like I just don't know. Like, they in the big matches, which is crazy because this is what they talked about when, and I'm being a homer on this one. They talked about Jalen. Well, they're not really beating anybody, blah blah blah. Well, they've beaten some people, and when it comes to the Vikings, the only team that they beat were the Bills. That were a major team. And then they've been struggling with all teams that they should be blowing out and coming back in the second half of the game. That's not a winning formula heading into the playoffs. So I don't know what they're going to do. So I wish them luck with that. The opposite end of the spectrum is the Niners. They lose their top 2 quarterbacks, and Mr. Irrelevant, who is fully irrelevant, it continues to fuel this team, right? And they continue to keep winning and going and going. If Chris Sims said that the Niners had a plug and play team, then he would have been right. But he chose the wrong team and the wrong quarterback to talk about. I'll make sure I take every opportunity to remind his dumb self that. He's also a very smart person, but that was a dumb take. Number 5, the Cowboys. They have consistently won since Dak has come back. They put points up, but there's a lot of turnover issues, and they're missing some big pieces on their defensive end. They've shown flashes in games that they can be and beat the best of the best, but then they also shown how they can absolutely give a game away. As Sam mentioned earlier, it was one of his winners, but as he's shaky about them, I'm shaky about them, and I'm sure if you talk to realistic Cowboys fans, which I know it's hard to find, but when you talk to some of them, they will probably tell you the exact same thing, that they don't know what team they're getting each week, even with them winning right now. At 4, the Bengals. They keep on winning. They look more dangerous than they did last year, which is absolutely scary to me. With Burrow, shout out to Dame on that one. They just are going to continue to ball. And I just love that we have the opportunity to see the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs duke it out to see who's going to win the AFC. I think we have the fortunate pleasure to watch this unfold in front of our eyes. Number 3 of my birds definitely dropped down, and that was they didn't have Jalen Hurts the past 2 games. And then a lot of holes, in my opinion, were exposed on the defensive side and also on the offensive side of how stagnant it is if Jalen is not there. Defensively, they continue and now have the record, the only team to have 4 players that have double-digit sacks, which is absolutely wild. That has never happened before. But they can get after the quarterback. It's just on the back end what happens. Darius Slay has been caught with his pants down a couple times. don't really like it. The secondary is a little bit shaky since losing Sauce, our Sauce, and then that's it. But two Bills, uh, just with that injury that we thought was going to sideline Josh Allen, did not, and the Bills keep winning. Their defense has improved. Their offense since he started throwing. Yep, the pup agrees. The offense since throwing the ball to Stephon Diggs has now changed and elevated, which they should be getting their top playmaker the ball. Bills have what we thought. They've been in the top 3 all year. So have the Eagles, and so has this other team, the Chiefs, who is number 1. They just keep doing some crazy things with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm truly, truly curious to see what is going to happen with them. I don't really have much to say about the Chiefs because they just are who we thought they were.
So awesome. Jags, Ravens, Chargers, Vikings, Niners, Cowboys, Bengals, Eagles, Bills, and new number 1, the Chiefs there. I have the playoff picture. I believe this is accurate. Obviously, we're not counting last night's game. First round bye, number 1 seed is the Chiefs. 7 would go to number 2, which is Patriots at Buffalo. The 6th seed right now is the Ravens. They would go to a game, which is actually, I believe, the game this week. Baltimore at Bengals at Cincinnati. So that'll be interesting to see that if that game happens twice. Be interesting. Chargers would be the 5 seed. They're going to Jacksonville. The 4 seed there. And the NFC first round bye as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 7 seed as of right now is the Seahawks. They would play the number 2 seed, the Niners. The 6th seed is the Giants. They would play the 3 seed, the Vikings. And as of right now, the 5 seed is the Dallas Cowboys. They would go to Tampa Bay and play the Buccaneers. So that's as of right now.
Love it.
Put that on Instagram or something tomorrow. But yeah, awesome. Let's switch gears here to the NBA. Programming note or apology. When we didn't have a show last week, it was in between. It's that weird time between Christmas and New Year's where you just don't know what day it is, and everything's kind of weird. So I didn't have a show, but apologies are in order from me, because when I gave the Christmas schedule and we spent like 10 minutes talking about the Christmas games, I gave the schedule for last year's games. And I didn't even notice it until well after the episode was posted. Actually, Brandon alerted me of it, or listeners alerted him of it. So apologies there. I screwed up, and that's what happens when you do things really quick. That said, it was a heck of a day of sports overall. All those football games on Christmas Eve, and then football and the normal slate of awesome basketball games on Christmas Day. Dude, it was a really fun weekend of sports on top of just the holidays. Much like we just saw this past weekend with the college football we'll get to in a second, and NFL and basketball too. But so apologies there, but some great Christmas games happened. A lot has transpired in the league since then. I think one thing is was it last night or 2 nights ago at this point, your boy Donovan Mitchell, our boy, I love Donovan Mitchell too, first player to drop 70 and 10 in NBA history. He did it on 34 shots, 7 from 15 from 3, 22 from 34 from field goal range. His 8 boards, man, hell of a performance. You see why the Cavaliers gave up all that they did to get him and throw him to a nucleus that already has a lot of great young talent, and it's paying dividends right now, as the Cavaliers are certainly making a name for themselves in the East. And if you're in the Garden right now in MSG, you got to be shaking your head, because why didn't we give up this, or what? Donovan Mitchell is coming to his own. Absolutely.
The Knicks choose a terrible time to stick to their plan.
Yeah, right.
It's like you spin and do all this crazy stuff, and now you can get Donovan Mitchell and have
Any other
him and
time.
Jalen Brunson at the same time, and you guys would have done it any other time. But now we want to stick to our plan. We got all these picks. We're
You
not
know,
going
we
to do
really
stuff.
like this Obi Toppin
Yeah,
and
we're
Emmanuel
just gonna stick with
quickly.
what we have, and we're just gonna hope that whatever picks that we have are gonna pan out to something. We're just gonna stick with that. And now you see Donovan over here just dropping 70. Like
This is where we
just
we have
it's so wild to me that
we have to
happened.
attach first round picks to trade away guys at this point. And we're worried about first round picks where we just spent the last 25 years not giving a damn about first round picks. But yeah, dude, your thoughts on, again, your boy Lil D Wade, as you call maybe not little, but Donovan Mitchell, Dwayne Wade Jr. at this point, like
Pretty
just
much.
hell of a performance last night and overall for this Cleveland team.
Yeah, that Cleveland squad is just so good. They have a lot of extremely really good players on there. Mobley, Allen, Mitchell, Garland. They just are disgusting over there, and I can't wait to see this young nucleus continue to grow. They are doing some great things out there in Cleveland, which is wild to say. And it's funny if you guys didn't know, like when LeBron left to go to South Beach. At that time, Cleveland started building up another really good young team. So I think this is probably just due for LeBron to go back to Cleveland because he likes to just blow it up when basically they have a good young nucleus. So we'll see what happens. But no,
Dude.
all jokes aside, super, super happy for Spider. Yes, he just reminds me of my favorite player, Dwayne Wade, and one of my favorite players. And that's just, yeah, he's just a monster. I wish he would just hang upside down like Spider did on And One Mixtape on the rim after he does a dunk. Like I would absolutely love that, but I know they would get attacked. So, but he should just.
I watched that And One documentary on Netflix. Did you see that?
Absolutely did.
That was
it was
really
absolutely amazing. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm super, super happy about that.
Bummer that all fell apart, but yeah, no, really, Untold. I forgot what it's. The Rise and Fall of And One or something like that. Totally worth the hour if you're a basketball fan. Yeah, 20 from 25 from free throw on your free throws too. That's how you win games. That's how you score a lot of points. Only the fifth player with a 70-point game since Wilt.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying something there. But a huge night in the NBA overall on Monday night. Klay Thompson had 54 points. I saw this note today. The Warriors are undefeated when Klay hits 10 plus threes this year. 54 and 7 boards, 21 from 39 from field goal range, and 10 from 20 from 3-point range. There
Is that just this year, or is that like all time when Klay hits 10?
I think it was just this year, but that would be remarkable if that's
it wouldn't surprise me because you got Steph on the other end. So yeah. But you also got to remember he's not just hitting 10 threes every night. So there's that too.
How about this for turning 38 too? LeBron's birthday is famously I think December 30th. He's 45 and 11 since turning 38.
He's a monster. And that reverse dunk he did the other day was disgusting.
That's why I bring it up. Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. You know what's also disgusting?
What's up?
This victory lap I'm about to take because my Nets are back and they won 12 games in a row. When you hear this, I'm hoping 13, but we'll see what happens. It's amazing when they can just play basketball and not have to deal with anything. See what happens when you win? Things just disappear. Nobody talks about any other stuff. All now people are talking about is where's Kyrie going to sign? And the Nets are streaking. Oh, did you see that putback Kyrie had? Oh, they are him and Kevin Durant together. This is what the Nets team. This is what happens when you win. You shut everybody up, and they're beating people. They didn't just beat some slouches. They beat the Bucks during this with Giannis out there, right? They're absolutely destroying teams right now, and it's ironic. This has all happened. I think that since Steve Nash left, they are 15 and or 16-1 since he's gone.
Well, they're 25-12 right now. I know it was very early in the season.
Yeah. Yeah. So now this team is finally playing defense. They have Kyrie on the floor, and Ben Simmons is starting to look like he's trending in the right direction. If he can get anywhere to what he was before, his team is going to be damn near unstoppable. And it's what they built and what they wanted it to be. I'm just super, super geeked. And the crazy thing is, Sam, I have a honest confession. Since this win streak has happened, I have not watched one game.
Okay. So
So
are you
I'm
gonna
going to
just not
continue.
watch games?
I see highlights, but now I'm superstitious with this damn team. So I'm just not gonna watch until they lose a game. And then when they do, then I'll start watching again.
Who are they playing tonight?
I will check for you. So let's see.
I hate putting you on the spot there. Oh,
It's okay. I'm
tomorrow
quick.
they play
Tomorrow, yeah.
tomorrow they're in Chicago.
Well, when you
Yep,
guys
tomorrow,
hear it,
Wednesday is today. So I guess you
yes.
were right. Tonight.
Yes. See?
There you go. Good for you. Yeah, man. The one game back of the Celtics right now. And they got a game in the half on the Bucks there in second place in the East. Definitely playing really well. Did you see that girl sign?
About Kevin
says, like,
Durant, and he nodded
yeah.
about she never saw Jordan, MJ.
She was like, sorry, MJ, Kevin Durant's my GOAT.
Yep.
By the way, I'm only 12.
Correct. Basically, I've never saw you play, and that's fine because guess what? In this generation, that's all they got to see, right? Some kids only got to see Kobe, right?
Yeah.
You know, some kids the kids that got to see Kobe were fortunate enough, or maybe not. Maybe they were born after and only got to see LeBron, right? So this is all you get to see, and it's all you have to base it off of. But I mean, Jordan's still the greatest all the time. But anyway,
I was thinking today, I'm gonna just take it off the rails for a second. Like when basically you don't know like history is happening when you're watching it. Certainly we've been in like unprecedented times within not just sports lately, but our world, and a lot of unprecedented things and all of that going on. But like I remember watching like Jordan's last finals and like the breaking Russell's ankles and doing all that, and like how crazy of a memory and an image that is. And it's kind of like you look at it now, it was so long ago, but it was like now it's a moment that defines NBA history.
Yep.
And
I got to watch it live. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I actually got to watch that.
Yeah, we were what 1998-ish, right? Was that around the time it was? So it was like I was 12. So it's kind of like it was a cool vibe to just be, I saw that. Or you saw like dominant Shaq and Kobe, or LeBron willing teams, or that crazy LeBron block on Iggy,
the chase down. Yeah.
Like just stuff like that where it's like kind of you talk about the next day, but it's like, wow, I saw that. So yeah, totally. I get that was a really cool sign I saw last night, and for KD to acknowledge it was pretty cool. Hey, I have a confession to make. One of my really good friends, one of my best friends, got married on New Year's Eve. So congrats to Corey and his lovely bride Jessica on a beautiful wedding and whatnot on New Year's Eve. But I did not get to and he listens to this podcast a lot, so he's a Cowboys fan too. So
sure, he loves my takes.
He lives for your takes. But with that said, we gave him a lot of hell for scheduling a wedding on New Year's Eve when all these bowl games happen. Certainly I know the outcome. The groomsmen, we were all like in the limo, like watching the games on the ESPN app and all that. But your thoughts on the two big college football playoff games?
People were asking, why is TCU in the playoffs?
Yep.
That's why they're in the playoffs, is because they've been doing this all year and putting numbers up, and it's hard to stop them once they go. The other takeaway is that Jim Harbaugh, after not getting Big Blue to go anywhere 2 years in a row, he's got him into the college playoffs, and 2 years in a row, it's slipped right through their hands. They have some good pieces. They're missing some crucial pieces, but I don't know what happens with the game planning at that point. It looks like each time they get to the bowl, they kind of just lose what got them there almost, right? Ohio State loses, and I felt like this hasn't really been one of Ohio State's stronger years anyway. But when you're going and the way they went up against Georgia
Yeah.
and that back and forth, the numbers that were put up on the board, they then show me, okay, well, this is who they could have been all year. And they still have a lot of those pieces coming back next year if some of them don't declare from the crazy season that they had. That was just a crazy, crazy game. I didn't get to watch all of it because I was out at Hibachi for a New Year's Eve. And then I wanted to watch the remainder of it at my lady's house with her friends. And yeah, that game was just absolutely fire. We were blessed to get a lot of really, really good games towards the end of 2022, but then also just in totality throughout the year. So yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, it's I wish I got to see more of them, but for what I saw and then just watching it, yeah, TCU needs to be taken seriously, and Georgia almost had it slip through their fingers there, but kind of shows you why they're defending champions too. I think it'll be a really fun game next Monday night. Where is it? I think it's in LA, right? I think it's at SoFi, the college football playoff. I could be wrong, but TCU and Georgia next Monday night. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch there, and for sure. But I think that's it. You got anything else, man?
We are.
Oh yeah.
That's enough.
What's that?
That's it. You should know. We are. You should know what that means. Penn State won
Yeah.
Rose Bowl. That's it.
I was gonna. That was me teeing you up for the Rose Bowl. I didn't
Yeah.
wanna-
That's all I have for that. Anything for you? Go ahead.
The Harbaugh to the NFL rumors started up again. I know he like quote unquote like visited. Didn't he like visit the Vikings the day of signing day last year? Got a big extension and went back to Michigan. But like, dude, I just can't. It's like we have nothing else to talk about here. It's like Jim Harbaugh flirting with the NFL again. Like, what do you take of these rumors and like what happens from here? Do you think if he actually gets a head coaching job, he's gone?
I
I know he quickly turned the Niners around, but it's taken it. And I know Michigan, it's harder to recruit in Michigan. It's not like it was 20, 30 years ago, but like, it took him so long to turn this program around. And like, as you mentioned, it kind of just slipped through twice now in the last 2 years. I'm sure he would make a difference on a football team, on a national football team, NFL team, but I just don't care. I don't care about these rumors. If he gets a job, cool. But we've been like the media has gone crazy for years about Urban Meyer finally going to the NFL. How'd that turn out? Or Nick Saban going to the NFL. How'd that turn out?
Or most of the college quarterbacks, coaches that go to the NFL, how do they turn out? Not
Right.
too great all the time. The hot commodities, I've said it to you on numerous occasions, especially when it comes to like basketball in college, is the hot commodities that come in are sometimes flashes in the pan, and we just need to see it for what it is. If I'm a GM, I'm looking for longevity. I'm looking for a guy that consistently is winning, and you see put in the time, and like a Sean McVay, right? You see that he put in the time all over the places, and this is why he got the opportunities that he's given, right? Of course, he was under a great tree of coaches, but he put in that time, he learned, and now you see what happens from there. So it's just watching the guys that are building up teams and seeing that their teams consistently over the seasons are doing it, not just the flash in the pan coach that has the crazy season and then goes to the NFL next season. I don't want that coach. I mean, I just don't. That'd just be me.
Yeah, I think head coaches are really important. I mean, you've seen it with it was going to be a topic last week. Nathaniel Hackett's gone, right? Like,
yep.
But instability. But then you see you hear all these things for years about how like great Sean McDermott is, and you put in a position like it was last night, kind of thing. Like these are schematically, these guys are quote unquote geniuses. They are, important, but also what they bring to their teams on the sidelines in the clubhouse, all of that too is so important. And it really takes, people to be vested into it. And I think that's why you see like Urban Meyer just, this isn't, this isn't Columbus, man. Not that they don't take things seriously at Ohio State either. I mean, they certainly do. They're historically winning program, but it's nothing comes easy in the NFL for sure. So yeah, I just don't care about. I think those are great takes, dude. I just don't care what happens to Jim Harbaugh. Like, I'm sure he'll get an NFL job, and I'm sure he'll do okay. But can we just? We have nothing else to talk about, you know? I don't know. I don't even want to talk about Nathaniel Hackett. He's was kind of the scapegoat for a really bad Russell Wilson season because you can't get rid of Russell Wilson. So, yeah, hopefully the Broncos can fix that. But yeah, that's all I got. So, with that said, again, just thinking of the Hamlin family and Damar Hamlin himself, and hopefully, you know, continues to fight and make strides in that department. And yeah, that's what I got, man. So I'm for Brandon. My name is Sam. Thank you so much. Hug your loved ones. And here's to a new year. Peace.
This is how I know our wavelengths are connected, because I was literally just going to repeat hug your loved ones 3 times. But just hug somebody that you love. Let them know how much they mean to you every second you can.
Hey, Brandon. I love you, man.
Love you too, dude.
All right. Peace.